what are the topics that we are going to cover today? That is explanation for Mbr and GPT. There are two main partition style, two main partition scheme. That is Mbr and GPT, master boot record and guided partition table. There are two disk partition style. What do you mean by disk partition style? It's nothing. If one hard disk is there, we can able to create a partition. Then what is partition? Partition is nothing but this is the logical division of the hard disk. We are not going to divide the hard disk physically. It's a logical, because the hard disk having the capacity, just for example, 500 GB and or 2 TB. So that is a physical hard disk size. So we can able to divide that logically, and we can able to use from 2 TB hard disk. I can able to use 500 GB separate partition and 500 GB another partition, like that. For 500 GB partition I can only create, right? So the partition is nothing but this is a logical division of a hard disk. So once it is coming to Mbr and GPT, what is that? That is a partition scheme or partition style we will tell. So what is partition style? How we will create the partitions? Okay, how we will create the partition? In which style we will create the partition? That is actually the partition style or partition scheme. That we will discuss. What is Mbr and what is GPT? What is the limitation in Mbr? There are some limitation in Mbr. That's why GPT has came. Okay, so next we are going to discuss creating the partition with Mbr partition scheme using F disk. Anyway, today we are not going to discuss the GPT partition configuration. Today we are going to focus only on Mbr partition configuration. In Mbr partition scheme, how we will configure the partition. For that, we are using the command that is fdisk in Mbr partition style if you want to configure any partition. And after that, we are going to discussing about the file system. What is file system and what are the file systems are available in Linux? So what is actually file system? If you are getting, just take an example, the manufacturers like Western Digital or Samsung, they will create the hard disk, right? So I hope everyone knows the anatomy of the hard disk. Inside the hard disk, there are some platens. So the data is actually storing on the platens, and there is a spindle motor, and that spindle motor will rotate the disk, means the platen, and there's an actuator arm, and in the top of actuator arm there is a read-write head that only writing and reading the data from that platen. The platen is nothing but is just like a CD-like structure. Okay, so once the manufacturer created one hard disk, we can't able to store anything on that because there is a raw disk. So what we'll do, there are two types of formation will happen before you are going to store any data. That is low level formation and high level formation. The low level formation is done by the manufacturer itself. What manufacturers will do, they will create the tracks and sectors on the platens, okay, on the hard disk. That they will do physically. Physically, they will create the tracks and sectors. And once that formatted, means the low level formation they're done, after that is available, then we can able to go and purchase that. Once if you want to store your data, again you want to do this formation, means you want to format it. The user want to format it. Every time we will tell that I need to format the pen drive. What is actually formation? Formatting is actually not, you are not going to delete anything from there. You are going to create a new partition structure. You are going to create a new table, means you are going to create a new tracks and sectors. Okay, the logical tracks and sectors is called, that is a file system. And physically, they will create the tracks and sectors on the pattern that done by the manufacturer, but the high-level formatting is done by the user. What we'll do, we'll just right-click and format it. The option is there in Windows. If you are going to the My Computer window, drive, right-click and format it. So what is actually happening? You are creating a new tracks and sectors. Okay, so that logical tracks and sectors that we can able to call, that is a file system. So if you're taking in Windows, so what are the file systems are available? FAT is there, FAT is there, and FAT32 is there, and NTFS, HPFS. Like there's so many partition, the file systems are available in Windows. But if you are coming to the Linux, there are another file systems are available like ext2, the old one, and Minix ext2, and ext3, ext4, XFS is a default one in RHEL 7. This is the latest one. that is not actually completely launched. Actually, they are working on that. What are the features already launched? They are giving that with some update. Okay, and there are new file system is going to come. That is BetterFS, and GFS is a cluster file system, and Gluster is a cloud file system. There are so many Linux file systems are available. So coming slide will explain that. And that's actually about file system. And next, once you are created one partition, how we will apply the file system, or how we will create the file system on top of the partition. For that, we are doing the formatting. So in Linux, how we will do the format? Okay, how we will do that? For that, we are using some commands like mkfs that we'll discuss. And next, we are going to discuss the mounting the file system temporarily. So in the case of Linux, I'm telling there is no drive letter concept. So in Windows, that is very easy. In client level operating system, just go and access the drive and drive letter and your data from the My Computer window itself is very easy. But in Linux, the first class itself we discussed, there is a directory architecture. So each and every files are categorized and stored in different folders. In Linux, everything are called as files and directories, right? So if you created one partition, 500 GB partition I have created and I formatted that. So I want to use that. How can I use that? So it is very easy. What you want to do, you want to create one directory first. Okay, you want to create one directory, and that particular file system or the particular device you can mount under a directory. You can mount under a directory. So whenever you are opening that particular directory, actually your partition you can able to see. So there you can able to store your data. So we can able to see like that directory size is what size you have given to your drive, means your partition. Okay, it's nothing, just create one partition, format it, and mount under a directory. That only we'll do in Linux management, Linux disk management. So once you mount it under a directory, if you are opening, you can able to access your file system. There you can able to store your data. That is possible, right? So these many things we are going to discuss today.